Hi everybody, this is Shannon with Shannon's Kitchen coming to you on a Friday. I was going to show you how to go ahead and fry up some country fried steaks. My pan is nice and hot here. I'm using a skillet tonight to do these. I'm not going to be frying my steaks in here. I'm going to be doing my sauteed Brussels sprouts. Now, Tuesday night I did them in the oven where I roasted them. And now I'm going to show you how you can saute them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this over. That's right quick. And I'm going to pull this out a bit. These are going to go into my batter, which is going to be used to put my steaks in for my batter, and then before I put them in the flour. But I'm going to go ahead and move these out of the way real quick. Okay, so I've already cut the ends off of them and sliced them in half. It's just me and my family tonight. There's 4 of us, and so there's not very many. There's probably maybe a cup and a half here of Brussels sprouts. And of course, like I said, we eat clean, so they come straight out of the produce section. But they've all been cut in half and the ends cut off. But I just try to make them all, I just prepared them here in this pan. But what I'm fixing to do here in a minute, so I'm going to move this out of the way because I'm going to pull my onion down here. It's a half an onion because I used the other half to cook Tuesday night. Last night my family and I went out to dinner, so like I said, I get, Tuesday nights where I don't have to cook. I think we had ordered in actually. Yeah, we had takeout last night. But anyhow, so what I'm going to try to do today is I'm going to try to show you how to do country fried steaks. Okay, I've got a bite of olive oil here in my cast iron pan, and I'm going to be frying them in olive oil tonight, and because I like the way they taste on steaks. And vegetable oil's got a little bit of different taste, but olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil, has a potent smell and it has a potent taste too also. So let me get my big knife. Let's see, thought it was in the drain, but okay. This is my Saboteur knife. See, Saboteur. I don't know if you can see that with the light, but it's very sharp, so I'm gonna be careful. But I'm gonna angle. I've already minced, like cut the onion down and already minced it down, so that when I chop it, it just falls in squares on the board. I went ahead and made sure that I prepped before I started. The only thing that's different on here is that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the batter out of seasonings with milk and eggs, and then I'm going to show you also how to season your flour so that the flavor goes into the meat. But I'm also going to show you that I flavor the meat. It's called layering. So anyway, I'm fixing to show you that here tonight. But I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. See, when you cut down your onion, it just falls straight down like in squares. And the way you do that is you keep this, I call this a hinge. That's not a technical term or anything, but that's one of my terms. But I call it a hinge, and if you leave it on there and don't cut it off when you get all the outside layer of your onion, it'll hold your onion together so that you can mince it. But what you do is you take and you cut down. You don't cut all the way down to the bottom because you don't want to do that. And then you cut all these little straight squares, all these little straight lines, and then you go turn your onion, and then you go this way with it. And then you take it and you cut it down the side like this, I like to push my nail down into the hinge. That way my hand is away from the knife and it's not in any danger of getting cut. And you just cut down. And these squares, some of them don't fall into squares, especially if you don't, cut all the way through or down far enough. Sometimes you'll have these little long pieces, but that's okay because you can pretty much cut them up. I like to get rid of the outer layer. But this hinge is also good because I don't like to waste anything. So it'll keep your onion together. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on its face right now, and just cut to the angle like that on the side. And I'm fixing to show you the green onions too that we put in a cup Tuesday night. Remember our green onions? I'm going to show you how well they're producing. And let's see. That's it. Alright, so this I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil right now and go ahead and put it in this pan over here so that these onions can be reducing, caramelizing. You want to try to cover most of the bottom of the pan. If you want to use a measuring cup, which I don't, unless I'm baking sometimes. You know, I think one time I cooked hamburger helper and I'm not used to cooking things out of a box. So I did have to use the measuring cup that night. But that's been a while back, so but I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of butter to the mix too, because you're adding 2 different fats. And it's okay because it's real butter. It's a tablespoon. So that's in the pan. Let's see. Now, you don't want to start adding your salt, and this is sea salt, fine sea salt. You don't want to start adding your salt in the pan until you've put your onions in there, because that is what helps the onions and the garlic and everything break down, and you get the oils and everything that you need out of it that way. So, just with my knife, and just try not to touch the surface. This is a stone griddle, so I mean it's not going to hurt it, but you know I try not to use very many Teflon things. Anyhow, getting on the subject about our green onions. This is the old growth. This is what we cut it off at Tuesday night. This is the new growth. See, even the roots have gotten longer. So what you want to do is you want to take this and peel it all the way off, just like this. I've done most of these, but I left a few for you, that way, you know, I could show you how it's done. And you just stick it back down, and you just take the rest, and you see this part right here, you just peel it off. My trash can's right here, so this one right here is a big one, so we're going to take this one and see? You just go through, and every now and then, every couple of days, you want to change out the water too, because you don't want the water to stink or smell bad or, you know, attract bugs or anything, flies. So this one has actually got a new growth coming out the center of it. See, right there? But yeah, these are what you call scallions. I've heard people call them scallions. I've heard people call them green onions. That's what I call them. That's what they're labeled as in the grocery store. Scallions and chives. Chives, you know, they call these chives. Yeah. I'm just taking and peeling away the old stuff. So the new, see, this one doesn't even have any roots yet. But if I'm looking down in there, and there's a little bit of trying to produce right there, and one that's trying to come up through the center. Yeah, and you just peel away all the old so that the new can come through. Yeah. But I'm going to use some of these tonight, just a little bit of them. I got potatoes that are boiling over here because we're going to make some homemade mashed potatoes tonight. Okay, so I'm gonna take a fork here in a minute, and I'm fixing to season my pan with the outside of this onion. Okay, it's gonna add to the flavor.
Okay, this stops right. I see a tangential entryway, but no radiating fractures.
With my fork, I'm gonna leave all this together. I'll put some. It's kind of like a soft, bat of onion. It's just the outside of it. And take it. Oops. This. Just try to season it with the fork. Rolling it through the oil. I do this on my grill. I do this on my grill outside too, and it really helps season my grill. Okay. Alright, I'm going to push these over to this corner over here. I'm going to put this one in here too. And that's going to help with the seasoning. I've already gone ahead and crushed my garlic. That's why, I went ahead and done this for y'all, so we're not on here for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I'm not having to do the video till 9 o'clock at night. We ate pretty late that night, and it was not good. We're used to eating early. But, yeah, so it's crushed. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it in my oil. 2 cloves. Okay? They've already been peeled. And once this starts getting hot, I'm going to add my onion in there. But first, right now, I just got, my garlic in there. And with my salt, I'm just going to pour some on top. That will help that garlic and its spot reduce nicely. Because I want all I can get out of that chewing gum, as you would say. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this around so that you can see what's going on right here. Over here, in this pot, is some potatoes. And they've been boiling for quite a bit. Usually I want to do about 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes at the most, sometimes 20, depending on if you're doing russet. I always do red, and I'm doing these little round gourmet red ones tonight for my mashed potatoes. I've already chopped up a bunch of them, but I wanted to leave these out to show you, exactly what potatoes I'm using. You can get them at the grocery store. They're called gourmet red potatoes. And usually 1 bag is all you need for mashed potatoes. To feed a family of 4. And that's about how many's in our family. Alright. Now, I don't know if you hear that bubbling over here, but I've got some oil bubbling down here. And it's because I seasoned this pan. And I'm going to show you on Sunday how to do this. Okay? So, right now I'm going to turn the oil off, okay, because I don't want it to cook anymore. I just wanted to heat it up a little bit because I just seasoned it, and I wanted to put a little bit of, heat in that pan. So right now what I'm going to do is over here in my skillet where my Brussels sprouts are going to be sauteed, it's starting to get hot, and it's starting to bubble up a little bit. If you're cooking in a skillet like this, I've got mine set on 280. Okay, when you're sauteing any kind of vegetable or anything in a skillet, you don't really want to do a high heat. And this thing can go all the way up to 420. Yeah, you don't want to do anything like that and when you're trying to saute, because then you'll burn your vegetables. And you need time to get a good crisp going on the outside of the shell of the vegetable. So right now mine is set at 275, and this thing is called an Oster skillet. You can get it at Walmart for about $40, I think. And I cook and I fry a lot of things up in here, and I do a lot of my vegetables in here too. It's good for if you want to cook pancakes or breakfast or whatever too. Or you want to do a big omelet. I've been known to cook omelets in here too. So, these are my steaks right here. So, now that everything is cooking nicely, and I'm getting, a base for these, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in, okay? Because I've got, well, no, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna go ahead and now this is hot and put my onions in like I said before. You wanna hear that sizzle? And that means that the pan is at a good and medium heat. And this is how your onions are gonna render out their juices into the pan. And since I'm sauteing, you know, my Brussels sprouts in the pan, then I need that good juice in there from my seasoning. The reason why the other Tuesday night, the reason why I cooked my marinade and everything was because, and I don't know if I got a little ahead of myself or if I didn't tell you, but when you are cooking a meatloaf, you don't have to cook your onions into a saucier pan or anything of that nature because you're molding them into a loaf. Same thing as if you're putting it into codfish or tilapia or salmon. The skin is very soft and you can push it down into the flesh. And the juices can render out into the meatloaf and into the fish inside the oven. Or, you know, yeah, because everybody cooks their, you know, meatloaf in an oven. I've never tried to cook it in the pan, but maybe it can be done. I don't know. I've never tried it. Maybe that's something we might, you know, try sometime. But in a fish, if I don't cook it in the pan, I'm always baking it in the oven. I can do it poached or I can do it baked, you know, or seared. So, like I said, but when you are putting a vegetable inside this pot like this, or if I was cooking hamburgers, I could do this. And the seasoning, the meat will soak it up to the bottom, up to the top, or when you're flipping. So, in a minute, I'm going to wait for my onions to reduce, along with this garlic. See how the garlic is like a brown color? And then your onions. These big thin pieces I'm going to be pulling out because I don't want to serve that on a plate. But I'm using it for seasoning. See the brown, how, and everything's starting to reduce out into the olive oil and with the butter. And the salt is doing its part to help reduce the oils and the juices out of those seasonings into the pot. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Just, you know, a little sprinkle here and there. Just make sure that I get them all over the pan, because you want your seasoning all over the pan. Because this is where I'm going to take my big pieces of onion at this point now because it looks reduced enough. You don't want to burn it. But go ahead and stir these potatoes. Here in a minute, those potatoes I'm going to be ready to pull off the heat because they've been on there for maybe 10 minutes. You don't want to cook down your potatoes too much because then they won't be creamy. Some people like them clumpy, some people like them creamy. But you don't ever want them to be liquidy where you can't, you know, add anything to it to make it, you know, substantial enough to eat. You just end up having to pour it down the drain or in the trash. You want to do it for about 15 minutes. And then no more, because then they'll turn into a liquid, and once you add your butter and your milk, it's just more liquid. And so, you know, and that's something else I'm going to show you tonight too, is how to do homemade mashed potatoes the right way. You got a lot of people that are putting the milk in first, and so the thing about it is with milk is that comes out of your refrigerator, so it's cold. And then if you pour that in first before the butter, it makes it really hard for the butter to do what it's supposed to do and melt and make that flavor and creaminess to those potatoes. That's what the butter's job is, and the potatoes is for flavor. So I use salted in mine because I only use a little bit of salt in mine. Okay, so looking down here, you see there's a little bit of brown in my pan, and my onions are reduced fine. Now is the time to go ahead and add my Brussels sprouts. Did you say your name was Advance? Like Advance? Alright. I'm going to go ahead and jostle them around in here. I do it all different ways. I saute them, I roast them. I don't boil them in water because then all the nutrients boils into the water. and it's not in your vegetable. But this way, you know, every piece gets an even coating of the garlic and the onions nicely. Okay, so we'll take this big long one from right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and chop it up. Off of here. You always want to keep your fingers down like this when you're cutting vegetables. You don't want the knife to come down on your hand. And sometimes it's easier to hold the side, the back of the thing like that when you're cutting. You want to hold it at an angle like this. And it's makes it much easier, and it keeps you from getting cut. It's a better way. So that you're moving right along. Now, this one, you can't throw it in the water because then all this gets, you know, under the water and then it turns into this slimy thing. I tried, I know. So just throw that away once you cut it down too low. So 1 stalk of green onion, I'm adding to the mix. Yeah. These are sometimes what you find in wonton soup when you go to a Chinese restaurant. That's what these are. There's several names for them, but green onions, scallions, chives. It's green onions. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get my fork and start just jostling this around. I'm going to keep it on 280 for right now, and then once I see that it's starting to get softer, the Brussels sprouts, I'm going to turn it down, okay, and put a lid on it. It smells so good. Go ahead and add a little bit more onion. I mean, not onion, but salt. And this is something else that I like using on my, and I think I used it Tuesday night, but it's Kenny's Bourbon Molasses. Remember, Kenny's you can't find in the grocery store. If you want to use the seasonings that I use on here on my channel, you have to go to Kenny's.com, KennySpices.com, and order them from there. You can't get these in the grocery store. You can't get any of Kenny's products in the grocery store. So get it online. I get it from the local Fish-A-Rama, Turk-A-Rama, Buck-A-Rama. It comes to the Georgia National Fairgrounds every year. It comes in February, and then it comes again in, I think, let's see, what month we're in? Oh, in September, the beginning of September. So, end of August, sometime around there. And then, of course, the Georgia National Fair comes in October. It's going to be here in a couple of weeks. And, you know, you can find their stuff there. If you live in Houston County, Peach County, you know, southern Georgia. So, I've got everything up in a little corner over here. So I want to start to reduce my heat here in a bit. And everything is marrying together now that I've thrown in the bourbon molasses. I think I put in about maybe a tablespoon of seasoning on these. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Alright, checking my potatoes. Alright. Now I'm going to put this down on the cutting board and I'm going to show you what you're looking for. Let me see if I can. Okay. I'm going to show you what you want. You're going to be able to just stick it in. Easy, like a piece of meat. If it's hard, they're not ready yet. So these I'm going to pull off the heat. I'm going to take my strainer here. Put it in this thing. Alright. Now you want to just set this off to the side because here in a little bit we're going to add all this stuff back into that pan and we're going to mix it all up and make our cream potatoes. Okay? Now some people like to take the the peel off, I do sometimes, but tonight I'm not. I just think it adds, to the prettiness of it. And sometimes, the outside can add to the flavor too.
It's your job to let them know.
They're already starting to break down and get soft.
You scratched the word on the hood of Beth Samuel's car, P-L-I-G.
I'm gonna set this aside as a taster.
Work with me. Your P-W here, key to car.
So you want to try to go down the center of the top, where the face is. And if it goes down gentle, that means they're almost ready. Okay. So, I'm fixing to reduce the heat down to warm on there. And I'm not going to cover it just yet.
Not cow and frog.
Actually, you may need that later. Do you own any guns, Mr. Mel?
Yeah. No 22.
It's hot.
No 22.
Perfect.
Red revolver, new shotgun, old shotgun, rifles, pistols, you name it.
Now,
Hey, over there, guys. Find the boy yet?
pull you over here away from all that.
You have the body was moved.
Right now,
You have no idea where.
what I'm about to do in this medium-sized bowl, and then this large bowl, is I'm fixing to set up my batter and my flour. Okay? So, from my batter, you want milk,
Why do people kill them?
Jealousy, love.
cup and a half of milk. Well, maybe 2. Yeah, 2 cups, 2 full cups. Alright? Add a little bit of salt, maybe a tablespoon. Okay? Now, second ingredient, when you're doing a batter, you always want to use an egg. Sometimes I use 1, sometimes I use 2. Depends on how thick I want my batter. Tonight, I'm going to use 2.
Exactly my point. You pick a wife and go.
History suggests that monogamy would only guarantee.
These are farm fresh eggs. My husband's friend from work gave him 2 dozens of farm fresh eggs from chickens. So these are different colors. But you can also buy,
About to say something.
cage-free eggs from the store. But see, you got like all different shapes and sizes. Like this one is huge. How big that one is. That one's pretty big too. Alright, so I'm gonna put these back in the refrigerator.
Right, you do know that it's legal to report information in course with federal investigation. Makes you look guilty.
Sorry.
Now, with my fork,
My sister's
I'm gonna start whisk it like you would if you were making scrambled eggs. Put the milk and the yolks together. Alright, you add a little bit more salt, maybe another tablespoon. Yeah, about another tablespoon. Alright, let's see here.
I just wanted to look after my sisters. I didn't mind sharing that as long as it was with them.
You cited your reconcile differences. Can you be more specific?
Jack Daniels, number 7, like I was using Tuesday night. Remember, you can only get this at Academy.
Friday,
You can't buy it at the grocery store.
No. I was having an affair.
So, about 2-3 pinches.
Hey.
And maybe another couple pinches because get it over the batter. You want a lot of seasoning in your batter, and you want to use the same seasoning on your meat that you're using in your batter, and then you want to use it again in your flour. It's called layering. Okay, season layering. Alright. That's it. That's all. Okay, now we're going to move on to the flour.
It's only the most amazing thing in the world.
Alright. You want to do about 2 cups of that too. I use white lily. And this is self-rising. When I do my chicken tenders, I use all-purpose because it has a tendency to fall off into the grease. All-purpose will stick a little bit more to the flesh of the chicken. All right, so got it in there like that. Hearing this sizzle a little bit more, so I'm just gonna stir it a little bit. Here in a minute, I'm about to put these on a plate so that they don't overcook. I still want to keep my nutrients and my flavor of that vegetable before I put the seasonings on. You know, vegetables have flavors, and I want to keep that in the vegetable. All right, so my salt, we're gonna turn it around, and I'm gonna put it in here, and then put the rest of that in there. Okay, that's it for the salt. Our Jack Daniels seasoning. All right. I'm gonna take your hand and cup it. So when it fills up about right here in the palm of your hand. Okay. And you want to do it again for your batter. All right, now we're gonna move these over here where I'm gonna be frying these up. With my hand now. That's all. All right. Over here.
So due to the presence of blowback in and around the pool, we know that the bullet came into contact with hard objects on it. For instance, the wall.
I'm gonna go ahead and clean my station a little bit. Like I said on Tuesday, a good tip and rule of thumb when you're cooking in your kitchen, you're always gonna keep your station clean. You never wanna cause and contaminate because it can make you and your family sick. So with some cleaner on my towel, I'm cleaning all the stuff into these ridges. It's good to get you a cutting board that has ridges. The reason being is because you can always make for a clean surface that way and then just turn it. You don't have time to sit there and take it back to the sink and clean it off because it does take a lot more than just soap and warm water to clean a good cutting board, especially one that's made out of bamboo or wood. And I'm going to teach you in a different segment how to clean those, okay? Because you don't use it with soap and water, you use something different, something natural. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. I might, yeah, Sunday night, I'll teach you how to do that. Okay, so I'm fixing to take my Brussels sprouts off the heat because, let me show you what they look like. They've all started enveloping this nice brown, you know, thing on there. And the onions too. I'm going to take this and discard that. That was the onion I was talking about that we were using to season the pan. I'm going to go ahead and remove these from the heat. I'm going to plate up everything on here tonight. I love this platter. It's so pretty. You can get them at Kroger, and it's made by A Dash of That. I don't know if you can see that, but it's made by A Dash of That. And we got it at Kroger for like $30. It's real pretty, and I like to use it when I serve a lot of family. We have guests and stuff like that. But it's just a pretty thing to use. And it's pretty durable too. I like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tongs right here. Let's go ahead and start removing them. I'm going to put them in the side of the tray over here.
It was no biggie. When he was 22, he bought me a really nice used convertible.
How did you find out about Beth and Carol?
When they showed up one night when I was finishing up an assignment for the next day, all three of them. But Mary and
It's taking a lot longer than I thought.
Scary Bible stuff.
We're almost finished.
I ran out.
You just want to keep them on like the side of a tray.
Radio salt in your lab.
We used to.
I'm gonna check and get all the onion and stuff
have
in there
this
too.
little box,
Just drizzle it over the top.
What happened
I don't know.
Now,
I went to look for it the other day.
I'm gonna turn this off.
I should have called the cops.
Alright, and then see how I've got it like on the corner of the plate right here? Because I'm gonna put my, you know, my potatoes are gonna be served in the pot. So right along here is gonna be the steaks, okay? And my family can just come through and make their plates and everything and sit at the table. So for right now, I'm gonna put this in the microwave so it can stay warm.
It's mine. Okay, it's mine.
Alright, now I'm gonna turn your attention over here. Well, for right here for right now. Because what I'm about to do is I'm about to flavor up my steaks.
I did this alone.
These are called cube steak. Alright, these are thin. Usually cube steaks are not thick, they're thin. So you have to be kind of careful how you cook them. This is this is what I use to do my country fried steak. Sometimes I'll use flank steak if I can't find cube steak.
No, you weren't.
And as everybody knows, flank steak is pretty thin too. So with a thin steak, you have to be pretty careful about how you cook it. You have to make sure that you're on low heat. That's why I let this get hot and then I turned it off. Because, yeah, it's completely cooled off now. Okay. Another way that you can check your grease or whatever is by taking a little pinch of flour and just sprinkling it in there. And if you can see it starting to bubble, it's ready. You don't want to ever cook it on high heat because it'll cook the outside quicker than it'll cook the inside, and you'll come out with a tough piece of meat that you can't chew. And cube steak has a tendency to be tough anyways. So you have to be careful when you're cooking, cube steak, and make sure that it is tender and, easy to cut into and easy to chew. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fork right now and just go ahead and just get my batter started. Alright. Now, remember the seasoning layering I was talking to you about? That's what we're about to do. Okay? We're going to take... I like to line them up and make them where they are close together.
What are you doing here?
Now, with my fingers,
I got your message.
put some of this. I've got too much in my hand. Hold on a second.
Excuse me.
That's probably way too much. So I'm just going to put some in my little thing right here. And I can use it tomorrow's dinner. But that's all you want. And you just go above your steaks. And just start, moving your hands together.
I know why you're angry.
No,
Okay.
I'm not angry.
And you just pat it down. You don't want to do both sides, okay? Don't do both sides on cube steak because salt will dry your meat out. Okay? We don't want to have tough meat. We want sweet. So, just one side, and then you just pat it down. All right. Now, with the rest,
Then we'll come over here and shoot guns.
that's it. So, about 5 pinches.
The reason I came here.
You take your hand and you just go like this.
Is because
You don't want to mash it or anything. Just
I care about my job.
start pushing it down into the meat. Alright, that's it. Because we are going to make sure that that seasoning can go down into the meat. Okay. I love you. Bye. Bye. That's my 6-year-old Charlotte. Anyhow, so I'm going to start turning on my heat to a 3. Because I have to batter these, and then, I don't want my oil to get so hot that it just cooks it immediately. Because then, the inside's not going to catch up with the outside, and it's not going to be balanced, cooking all the way through, and it be, tender. It's going to, like I said, these can have a tendency to be tough. We don't want that. We want soft meat. Okay, so that's already been done. Move all this stuff out of the way.
I made reservations for dinner tonight at the Founding Fathers, and I bought your scarf.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so everything is finished,
Send me out.
just about. The potatoes are over here cooling off a little bit. Here in a minute, once I start putting these in the grease, I'm gonna go ahead and put everything back into that pot or saucier pan and start mixing everything together before the potatoes get too cool, because I want everything to marry together and melt together, and that makes for really good cream potatoes. So, pull you over here,
Watching a live
right here.
Peter Mills
All right.
surplus
Now,
profits from the livestock.
I'm gonna take all my steaks and I'm gonna stuck them in
An ostrich?
like that.
Good God, man, did you go to college? That's better.
Just let them kind of sit in the. in the batter, okay? Now, that's gonna sit right there, and you wanna push them down, kind of move them around a little bit. Not much, because you don't want to take that rub off of the skin. Alright, and then move this over here.
Really? Busy, huh?
Alright, now you're gonna want to keep your tongs,
Busy to go through feces.
okay? Now, the practice rule of thumb is, so that you don't get bulbous fingers, is to keep a hand that's dry and a hand that's wet. So you're going to take, everything, of course this should be like this, that way you pull it out and put it right in the grease. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move that one piece over, like that, stick it in here. With this hand, I'm going to just cover it. Flip it, cover it, flip it, cover it. Tap it like this. Oh, sweetie, I love you. She likes coming on here with me. That's how you want it. Lightly cover. And then you dip it in there, and all of it should be dissipating and bubbling. You turn your heat out up to a 5 at this point. Okay? So, mixed it up. You don't want to have nasty hands. Alright. While our oil is getting up to temp, we are getting our steaks covered. And we're just going to set them aside in the corner. And we'll take this one. And just pat it. Cover it again. Pat it. Shake it off. Stick it in the pile. With this hand, wet hand, stick it in the thing, dry hand. Pat it. Bump it off. Stick it in there. Now, we're keeping an eye on my steaks and making sure that that one is okay.
Going to school.
Okay, I love you.
It's the third day. Yesterday.
And then you just pat.
Yesterday was horrible.
We'll make sure that your sides are covered too. It's lightly coated in the mixture. Alright, and then you're going to take this. Come back over here.
Hi, Mommy.
Take it.
I'm back from school.
Okay, I love you. Alright, now you want to make sure that, it's evenly covered, even the outside. Please don't take that. Put that down, please. Thank you.
I need
So,
a green one.
anyhow, it's coated. I think this is our last one. Yeah, this is our last
Why
one.
does my desk have to be so dirty?
Alright. Got that one in there is bubbling up nicely. And it's taking its time too, is exactly what I want it to do. These are finished. So I'm going to go wash my hands now that everything is battered and it's floured, and now it's all ready to go into the grease all at once. So I'm going to go wash my hands. I'll be right back.
I love teachers, friends.
finished with that. So then once I put all of my steaks in the grease over here that's been accumulating heat, then I'm gonna put my potatoes back in the pot that I cooked them in, and then I'm gonna, you know, go ahead and start adding and smashing and adding. Smash, smash, smash. Right. So we're gonna give it one more bump.
What? So we can get on phones.
Now it's not doing much right now because we're doing a slow bake. Okay, or not slow bake, but a slow fry on these steaks. Because like I said, cube steak is already tough, alright? And you want to be careful, and you want to slow roast, slow cook, not slow roast, but slow cook. Sometimes you may have to like create room in your pan. I like using my high side, you know, wrought iron pan because I don't want nothing to spill over the side. So with this little bit of room that I've created, put my last one in. It's okay if it overlaps it, the other one, it's alright. But you do want them submerged because they're cooking, they're frying slow. Now with this stuff, I'm going to go ahead and discard it because you can't reuse it.
Do that to my house. It was having an affair. You stink. 4 and 3 was. You understand how it doesn't make right.
Alright,
I'm trying to talk.
now we are going to add these potatoes back in the pan that they were
Give
cooked
you
in.
the right to take it in your own hands.
Teacher, I'm done.
Alright, and here in a minute, while you know things are cooking over here, I'm gonna wash a few of my pots because like I said before, you always want to make sure that you wash as you go. That way, if you end up having to do the dishes, there's not an astronomical amount for you to do. And it's a courtesy for the person that goes behind you that does have to clean the kitchen. Okay, so I'm seeing a little bit of bubbling, but right now I'm gonna go between a 5 and a 6 on my dial. You want to go up as little as you go, and when you start hearing it sizzle, then you want to flip everything. Okay, but right now everything's being cooked internally under the grease, or under the olive oil. And I love cooking country fried steaks with olive oil because like the olive oil puts off a good flavor, a real clean flavor. And it's really good for you too. Now you can't cook it in all your recipes. Wish I could, but oh, okay. So they're still hot. So we're gonna go ahead. They're ready.
Look beautiful.
And I got
My smasher.
Yeah.
Smush.
Nice.
Why
I'm just gonna
Make it a habit.
push down. Let it go through the holes. My mama has a really good smasher.
Yeah.
Hers is like this. It's really good. I need to get me a smasher like hers. My mom's a good cook. She taught me a lot about cooking by watching her and
Nah, she's working late.
her showing me things growing up.
Usual here?
And as I'm grown, when we go over to her house sometimes for the holidays, she'll cook. And it's so good.
Samuel Wives
And
only appeared to be.
it's traditions, you know, that
One guy that was
my mom is a good mom.
Loved all of his
I
wives.
love you, my mom.
No, not the first one.
She's taught me everything I know about cooking.
But each week, each wife
So-
assigned 2 nights apiece, and he spent Sunday nights alone.
Well, he was supposed to.
But you just want it, you know, smashed like this.
Every Sunday. that's-
Once I get all of them smashed like that, then I'm going to start adding my butter. But for right now, I got a bowl of water I'm going to stick that in.
So how do you know which person you love the most when you're confused by a
Alright,
chemical
we're about to add a whole stick of butter.
Show and tell time.
usually how much it takes to make good creamy mashed potatoes is a whole stick of butter. And for those of you that weren't able, didn't see my first video, this is butter. Land O'Lakes, USDA. See, it says it. Well, right there on that seal, USDA. That's butter. Country Crock and Blue Bonnet, Imperial. All those things that you see in tubs, and sometimes you'll find margarine in a stick. That's not butter. It's margarine. It's a big difference. Butter is made with milk and cream and stuff like that. Margarine is basically made of hydrogenated oil and a little bit of milk. That's not butter. It's margarine. So just clearing that up for you. You can look it up if you like. I used to weigh 400 pounds, and I had to change. It was like a whole new lifestyle for me. I had to change to using, because I used to use the big tubs. I used those tubs after I emptied them and cleaned them out, and then I'd stick them in my cabinet and use them as Tupperware. It wasn't butter, it was margarine, and I was 400 pounds. So I've lost 215 pounds. It's taken me a very long time to do it, and it's been a long journey. But when I started, I'm still a type 2 diabetic, and I have a lot of other things going on too. But I had sleep apnea. I couldn't sleep laying down because I had to quit breathing in my sleep. That's what sleep apnea is. You quit breathing in your sleep because I was so heavy. Something to think about. Eating clean. Now see, there's a boil going on here. See that? We're frying. I'm just going to take them and be careful because you don't want to pull the brain off.
I want to get married.
Submerged.
I want to be your age and wind up like you.
This is called slow frying.
You never been married.
Slow fry. There's not grease popping all over the place.
That you were my life.
When you feel like you have to put headgear on to keep yourself from getting popped in the eye. It's slow fry. And that's what keeps the meat tender. Okay, so we got our butter, stick of butter in there, the Land O'Lakes. And now I'm gonna go get me a metal spoon, a big one, so that I can stir all that up.
Dude, that's great. Congratulations. We should buy our rings together. That's a good idea. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and mix this up before it gets too cold and you can't. You want to be able to keep all this hot and just be able to keep your stuff, mashed nicely so you can make a cream out of it. Charlotte, what do you need, baby? Charlotte, what do you need? What do you need?
Charlotte, come here, baby.
What do you need here? Okay, I will fix you some orange juice in just a minute.
Okay, I got it.
No.
Oh, hey, here. Where's Mr. Mustard? Stuff in the stomach.
I love to talk to him. I love to talk to him. Yes, Daddy. Yes, Daddy.
Where you put it? Okay. Sorry, but I have to stop sometime and help her. Come get your orange juice, babe. It's on the bar. It's right here, Charlotte. Okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and mash up these potatoes real quick, and I'm gonna put them up. I'm gonna put them on the platter. I've decided I'm gonna do that. That way I can keep everything hot in there, and then when my family's ready to fix their potato, their plates, everything will be on that platter. So they like to do meatloaf with cream potatoes, and my husband likes them chunky and creamy. So that's what I'm going for tonight.
Okay, so the victim dropped here.
Now, for the milk,
Over there. How about AC? He took off over there.
You want about half a cup, no, third of a cup, I'm sorry, third of a cup. Don't want to be there to be any indecisiveness on here. But if I was going to measure it, yeah, it would be a third of a cup of milk. And that's what also adds to the flavor and the creaminess. And I've left the skins on. These are those little tiny, like I showed you, the little tiny gourmet red potatoes. When you're a diabetic, you want to eat red potatoes because they're high in fiber and low in carbs. Okay? If you eat a russet potato, it's going to make you feel like a zombie. And those of you out there that are type 2 diabetics, type 1 diabetics, know what that feeling is like. So, here, it doesn't affect your sugar as bad. It's a carb, and it breaks down into sugar in your body. So it still will affect your sugar. So I need for you to go in there and quit interrupting me, please. Thank you. I love you. I'm trying to get this done so that we can eat and not be so late sitting out at the table. But anyhow, so as I'm stirring, you know, like I was saying before, this is a carb. Anything that is white bread, whether it's wheat or white bread. White bread is not good for you, okay, if you're diabetic. If you're diabetic, wheat bread is best. You want to look at the back of all your food. I have recently became a food reader for my labels, like after my first daughter was born, and she's 20 years old. I was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic then. That, you know, type 1 is when you can control it with diet. Type 2 is when you have to be on insulin or medication. To help you control your sugar. They told me rule of thumb, and I went to a nutritionist, and she said rule of thumb is to have 1 piece of bread a day. 1 piece. Wheat bread. You want to stay away from your pastas, rice, all that, and only eat and measure those up like a half a cup or a third of a cup. Because those things can still make your sugar go up, and if you're not on any kind of medication, it gets out of control really quick. But you also need to learn how to control it with diet. So I've already flipped these, and I'm flipping them again. I'm fixing to add my sour cream into the potatoes, and some more salt into my potatoes, and then I'm going to put it on the tray, put it back in the microwave. That way it stays warm. But anyhow, this is the consistency you want. It's got a little bit of chunk. It's creamy. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to add my sour cream in there.
Have you identified the mole?
Where is my sour cream?
So I can say whatever I want in your own faster.
Well,
I
I can't find my sour cream. So I guess it got moved. And we're just not going to have sour cream in our potatoes tonight because I can't find it. Okay, so enough of that. I'm just going to go ahead and add my salt in there and be done with this. Can't find my sour cream because it's not in there anymore. It's missing. I don't know what happened to it. With your salt, you want to stick. I just do mine like this and then cover the top. Okay? That was about 5 to 8 pinches. So 5 pinches and 2, maybe 3 pinches. So 5 and 3. All right. And the more that you do this, the less chunkier it'll be. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit for longer, and just get everything married in there. Now, sometimes if I'm cooking meatloaf, I'll take the drippings from the meatloaf and put it in here. But since this is just oil, I'm not gonna do that because it'll make them oil potatoes. All right, but I do want to add a little bit more milk. Third of a cup. fourth of a cup. And just for good measure,
Exoskeleton.
take them.
Bedbugs.
You want them thick,
Tracking bedbug outbreaks.
you know,
There's an app for that.
and creamy. That's the consistency. That's how you want it. You gotta hit that thing on the side to get it off the spoon. That's what you want.
What was the occasion?
Okay. Now, let me get my tray out of the microwave. Add these to it.
You can get arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
Would you say a guy?
Conversation about what?
Look how beautiful those Brussels sprouts are. They're sauteed and they're still crunchy. Not real bad crunchy, but still good enough where you can bite into them and all the nutrients is still right there in that vegetable. And it's clean. There's no microbials coming out of a bag, which by the way, rule of thumb,
You were talking about
if you go to the grocery store and you buy it out of the freezer section and it's a Brussels sprout, green bean, broccoli with cheese, and it's in a bag that you can put it in a microwave, those bags are lined with microbials in the freezer section. Microbials, once they are heated up,
I'm figuring there.
start to come alive. And then they fall out of the bag into your food. And then you take it out of the bag, put it in a bowl or a tray or whatever, and then serve it, put it on your family's plates.
Oh God, you're not gonna look.
And those are microbials in our food. So, produce is best. This is